I do. I'll get you one of these days, Eric, Emma.
And your little dog too.
You're gonna slip up eventually. Yeah. So what's going on, guys? What do you need from me? How can I help? Sure. Okay, so I mean, the first thing you guys gotta know before if you haven't read anything yet, or before you go into it.
So we read it.
All right. Well, yeah, the first thing you gotta know is that I started writing that thing when I was 21 years old. Right? I was coming out of a breakup with my ex-girlfriend Taylor at the time, and I went through the roughest summer of my life. Like I had never, I thought I knew what being depressed was like, but but that summer really like made it very clear that like I'd had a very easy life in terms of emotional instability. I was just like super upset, could not get out of bed, couldn't eat, lost a ton of weight, just like felt generally pretty worthless, I guess. So then I went to Europe, basically because what happened was I was so stressed out that my body began to shut down. I gave myself infectious colitis, and the doctors couldn't find any medical reason for it. So they asked me, "Are you experiencing an inordinate amount of stress lately?" And like I was like, "Okay, that clicks. That's it. Okay, I really got to do something to get out of this funk." So I took my savings and I got a ticket to Europe, and I just roamed around for a long time in Europe trying to like make sense of everything and just kind of regain some sense of self and figure out what I wanted to do with my life, because one of the things that I felt was pretty clear after the breakup is that I didn't really feel like I had anything else going on, which is why it was so hard to deal with that breakup, because it kind of felt like I was losing the one good thing I had. And when I got back from Europe, feeling a lot better, I decided to write the book. So when I finished the book, I was like 28 or something, or 29, and I wanted to get it done with, but I was in a totally different frame of mind than when I started writing it. When I started writing it, I got sidetracked because I decided to go back to school. It was one of the things that I talk about in the book is like, I kind of wrestle with, okay, what's the next step once I get back from Europe? And I go back to school. And finishing the book kind of fell to the wayside. And then when I was 28, I looked at it and I'm like, you know what? I got to get it done. So I did. So that the end of the book might not jive with how, with like the tone of the beginning of the book. But okay, where was I? I'm like losing track of my slide here. Oh yeah, no, everybody knew. Like I was not the same person. I never left. Like I quit slash got let go from my job. Like I was like really happy when I heard they were letting me go, and I was like, okay, cool. I was fired. Yeah. To be honest. So I did not leave the house. Like he would go off to work, and my sister would like be hanging out with friends, and I'd get invited to go out, and I would just say no. I was not myself at all. So yeah, everybody knew I was going through a really bad breakup, and then you experience what happens when you're going through a breakup and nobody wants to be around you because you're no longer fun to hang around. And I was always fun to hang around, but now I've become this guy that just like you love me, shut up. So yeah, I mean, I just like became a totally different person, and everyone was very much aware of it. Yes. 21, 22. Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I was 21. I was 21 when I started there. I had gone to Southern Illinois University for like a year, and I dropped out. My grades weren't good, and I didn't know why I was there in the first place. People go to college with like, okay, I'm gonna do this with my life. I had no clue, so I just figured I'm gonna stop wasting everyone's time and money, drop out, go back home, figure it out eventually, with no real plan at all. I worked odd jobs before I went back to Vector, or before I went to Vector. I had good test scores. I did not have good grades.
Mhm. Test scores like SA.
Just like I was just more focused on having fun. I didn't get it. I've always been very slow to understand that certain games need to be played in order to move to the next step. I think this is how little I cared. I think I got into SIU because my advisor told me I could, and then once I did, I was like, all right, cool. I got that college thing figured out, and just like did not even try to get anywhere else.
Yeah, I'll chime in.
No, it's a 6 hour drive. No, like really, they accept everyone. That was the only factor. It's just like It's actually funny. I just wanted to avoid going to Oakton, which is the local community college, even though it's like a really good community college. I wanted to avoid going there because everyone made fun of people that wound up at Oakton in high school. Like it was like a joke you couldn't get into a real school. So I just wanted to get anywhere other than Oakton. And ironically, when I got back from Europe, I went to Oakton, and Oakton wound up being fucking awesome. And it was how I got into Columbia, is because I worked my ass off at Oakton and got the grades I needed to get into a really good school. Mhm. Actually, no. I went there with a roommate who I'd been friends with forever, but he dropped out after the first semester. So after that, it was a brand new slate. Zach Hofstetter. I am still friends with him. Right. Yeah. I think my second year there, like, so I did 2 semesters, and then I did 3 semesters total. Okay. No, wait. Yeah, 3 semesters total. My third semester, I decided to join a fraternity, and I don't know why. I just like wanted more of that quintessential college experience, I guess. And no, I had friends. I just like wanted, I wanted what I saw in the movies as being the college experience. Plus, my friends at other schools like Iowa, U of I, Michigan, Wisconsin, they were all in frats, and they would talk about it over the summer, about how much, about their frat brothers and like crazy frat stories and whatnot. I was like, well, fuck it, I don't want to be left out. So I joined the frat, and it was such a bad idea. I'm not a frat guy at all. I did not have anything in common with those guys, and it was because yeah, John judged me hard, but yeah, it's pretty funny because Jaeger's disgusting. But I'm surprised you're able to speak, dude. That shit's nasty.
Eric, you're nuts.
But okay, yeah, the guy accused me because somebody leaked their hazing practices out, and they were in trouble with the school. And because I was the one that didn't really like get along with everyone, they just all assumed it was me. Yeah, I got hazed. It wasn't even that bad. Like, they just like kept us all in a room, made us sleep on hay, and listen to the song that never ends on repeat. Yeah. Yeah, make it a lot worse, because I definitely, like, first of all, I'm no snitch. And secondly, like, it wasn't that hard.
I'm no snitch, bitch.
That could be the tagline. But yeah, no, it was stupid. And then like the president of the fraternity like called me to the frat house and then accused me of, ratting them out publicly to all the fraternity brothers. And then he got me in a chokehold.
This call
I was
is
just
being
like,
recorded.
what the fuck is going on? I don't know. I don't care enough to do that, guys. And I stopped hanging out with them all after that.
Oh yeah, isn't there like a whole process to dropping out of a fraternity, or am I making that up?
No, I just dropped out of the school.
Oh, that's the way you do it. Okay,
Yeah,
so
like,
then so
dropped the
basically,
bomb and left.
so you didn't leave because you didn't have friends or you were feeling lonely. You just left because you felt like this is useless.
Yeah, it was stupid. I was just like, what am I wasting my time here for?
Do you have any?
SIU is like, it's very rural. The people that go there are generally from very rural areas, and I'm from Chicago, and I just like did not really have a lot in common with most of the people that I met in my classes or at the parties or whatnot.
So you were lonely, like, and you might have had
go home.
friends.
Me and my buddy Ross Moore decided. Well, I know I had really good friends that I made there. One of them, Ross Moore, who I think I actually mentioned in the book at some point. We went and got coffee, and we're like, how do you feel about being here? He's like, I hate it. I'm dropping out. It's like, oh, okay. Well,
Did I
makes me
meet
feel
Ross?
better about telling you that I'm dropping out too.
Did I meet
No,
Ross?
you met a different Ross.
So many Rosses in your life. You're such a white guy. I just want you to know that.
I've lost track, I do have a lot of white friends.
All right, so
Call 'em all wrong.
I just want you to know, I'm just labeling this, even if you won't, that you were out of college you did not identify with and felt feelings of loneliness because it was useless and you left. That's how I'm labeling this whole chapter.
Yeah. There's really not a whole lot to say about SIU. I don't
Do you have any
think
friends
about it
from
at
there
all.
that like actually stayed?
Oh yeah, Dan Robot, Ross, Izzy. I'm still good friends with those people. Barry.
So let's move on from there. So let's see. So you're in high school. You went to the one school that would probably take you, but you didn't do much research into it. You went to a college where you didn't really identify. You drop out. So when you drop out, that puts you at what, 1920?
Huh?
When you dropped out of college that first year, you would be 1920, right?
1920.
Like years, like year old.
Yeah, I'm 12. Okay, sorry. I thought you were saying something about the 1920s. There's like kind of a bad echo, guys. I don't know if you guys can hear it.
What's his name? Who's not wearing headphones? That's usually a computer.
Yeah, I'm about to put in headphones. I was trying to get
Hello?
my Bluetooth headphones to work, so I'm gonna see if just regular headphones do the trick.
All right, hold on.
Give me a second. Is that any better?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the echo's gone now.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I was 19.
All right, so 19. I had to move. I just rudely got up when my parents sat down. Just was like they made pancakes, and I'll have to go up and apologize later because I was too lazy to explain to them I was doing a phone call. And so I just get up and leave. Rudest shit in the world. 19. Okay, so 1920. Okay, got it. 20 years old. Then from there, what happens? You go home. Does your dad give you shit for it? What's his response?
He was just kind of like, this, you could stay here, but you have to have a job. But you can't just, hang around the house, do nothing, and kick it with your deadbeat friends and get drunk all the time. You need to work.
Yeah.
So
Your dad's just like, I forget, what's your dad's name again?
Paul.
Paul's the man. Paul's just like, I feel like Paul would just like say it like it is in one sentence and then leave the room.
Yeah, that's basically how it went down.
Yeah, Paul's the fucking man. If I could go chill with Paul in Chicago, I would. If I was cool enough to hang with Paul.
Next time you come to Chicago, I'll tell him you want to have a friend date with him.
Yeah, I think he liked me. I think Paul approved of the Eric.
Sure.
I just want to believe that he liked me. That's why.
Yeah. He hasn't stopped talking about you.
That's what I need to believe. I need to believe this.
Yeah, Paul was, I think he just was excited that I wasn't going to waste any more time or money over in Carbondale and then get a degree from there and then find out that's totally useless and do nothing.
So you come back and that's when you just have to do the fucking shit of like trying to figure out what do you do with a high school degree making money. So what jobs did you get?
I worked at a hardware store for a while.
Did you
I
have
worked
to...
I worked at a bakery. And I worked summers as a camp counselor.
Were you the oldest camp counselor or no?
At 19, no, a lot of the other
19, yeah.
were like, they were back from college too and just needed a job. So yeah, I did that for a little bit, and then I saw an ad for vector marketing in the newspaper. I circled it, and I went
so
there.
It is
for
Vector,
an
it's
interview.
not Spectre, because you only had seen that you like wrote it as Spectre at one point.
Yeah, I didn't know what like the legality of actually naming.
Oh yeah, well we haven't gotten there yet, but I think we'll probably change the names of everyone and everything.
That's safe.
Yeah, like I don't want to be responsible for someone like a characterization of someone I did not know, and then they're, you know what I mean? Like just maybe even your name might be changed. Like just we'll get there when we get there, but I think we don't need to be pointing people out at all about with this thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So anyway, so ad for vector marketing.
Yep, saw an ad, went in for the interview. It was like me and maybe 10 other people were there. I wore a tie, I remember.
What did they do?
And
Did you even know, or what happened?
I knew that they sold knives.
That's what I
else
thought
had
they
told me
were.
that
They're in
before.
Rhode Island too. Like you go and you have to sell fucking knives. It's basically a pyramid scam, right?
Basically, yeah. But I
Yeah.
was good at it, so I benefited from it.
You never mentioned
selling-
that in the book. You never mentioned that you're actually good at this job.
Yeah, I was an assistant manager, and then they were going to make me a branch manager before I woke up.
Why
I was
would
like,
you
"Wait,
not
I
put
don't
this
want to do
shit
this."
in the book, Nick? Like this is good shit to put in the book. You never mentioned this.
I don't know, Eric. You know, this is why you're around.
Is it like
your
is it like
job.
a cut? Is it like a Cutco scheme where it's like some
It's
people are
Cutco,
actually
yeah.
going? Yeah, it's basically
Cutco.
Cutco. Okay. Yeah,
I mean, that's what
got
I sell. It's Cutco. Yeah.
Oh, that was the actual product.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, so I'm familiar with that.
Okay, so you go into the interview. So they interview you first, and do they hire you, or I always thought it was like pretty much anyone gets in, and then the people that
Oh yeah, they
sell
hire
stay.
everybody.
They're the people
Yeah.
that sell stay.
The people that make money stay at the job and continue to make money for them. But a lot of people, you know, like they're like, I can't afford to even buy like the starter kit, you know?
Yeah. Oh,
Because they make
that's
you
great.
buy your own knives originally.
Oh my god, that's a great scene. That's
and
what
then
I want.
you're actually going door to door, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Mostly it's by appointment.
Okay,
but,
let's start from the
they
beginning.
tell you to do that kind of stuff. So.
I don't want to. Let's start at the beginning because this is all good stuff to me. So you go to the interview first, or is it an orientation? They're just like, you're hired. Come to the orientation.
No, it's like a group interview, and then where they like tell you what it is that they do, and then they speak with you individually, and then there's an orientation if when you inevitably get hired, because they're not going to turn you down. So it makes you feel really good about it, though.
Is it like cultish? Like they're trying to walk you through the fact that you got to buy shit to like sell shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're like
there's definitely some very culty aspects to vector marketing and Cutco.
Okay, and then so we go through there, and this is all one day, or is this over a couple of days?
No, there was an initial, there was that group / individual interview, and they're like, "You showed up, you're hired," and then there was, I think maybe a week later, I had my my orientation. I was in a pretty big orientation group. It was like me and maybe 30 or 40 people.
And that's where you met Taylor, right?
Yep, she was there. I think taking notes, because the woman that ran that orientation's name was Carol Bart, and she was the branch manager, and Taylor was the assistant manager, and she was there taking notes and helping with training.
There's the assistant. Okay. All right. Got it. And in between that week, because I always experience like there's always this weird thing when you join these companies, because like people know that it's like sort of a pyramid scam. And so people always like give you shit, or they give you their opinion on it. Did you have any of that in between this week and getting hired?
No, I think the only mention I'd ever heard of Cutco before then was because we never got any Cutco salesmen to show up at our door, because generally the people that do have like older siblings.
Yeah.
Who had done it before, and I was the oldest, so like nobody came knocking at
You were
our
fresh.
door.
You were fresh face.
Yeah.
Right, but my one buddy Carl, like maybe like a year or so before, had mentioned that I should do it, and I totally forgot about it until I was like sitting in orientation, like, isn't this what Carl was telling me I should do? So yeah, I didn't really have any preconceptions of what it was going to be like, or that it was like culty or whatever, and I didn't really care. I was just excited that I had a job, and then they were talking about how much money you can make. He doesn't give a fuck, man. He was just like, good work, cool. I don't care. We'll get you out of the house. Excellent.
How much money did they say you could make?
Oh, thousands and thousands of dollars, and people do. I had friends who made at least like 10 grand that summer.
Okay. All right.
And those were people that had worked before, and so they were coming back for a second summer, and they had made even like more money the summer before.
Wow.
Yeah, you can make a good chunk of change for, you know, like someone coming back from college for the summer, you know, just to like have a summer job, sales summer job, make 15 grand, go back to school, a rich man, you know.
A lot of drugs you could buy with that money.
I mean, there's a reason it's so culty.
Yeah.
Because they got people that have that kind of success, and they go out and evangelize for them and get other people to sign up.
Did they provide you
sign
the
up
leads?
and you realize they've already hit up the entire high school yearbook, and there's really no leads left because everyone's bought everything.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna ask, are you responsible for your own leads? Do they give you leads?
They do not give you leads. No, you are responsible for your own leads.
Wow.
Which is why, you know, people from like lower economic brackets would not last long at all, because they would just experience nothing but failure from the first day, because these knives are not cheap. So, and they'd have to buy their own too. So it's not worth even the initial investment to have the product to peddle.
That must be so awkward. Like I can imagine, like you're in the orientation and you just see these like poor people that are just looking for some kind of hope, and you're just like, you just see the like failure on the wall for them before it even starts.
Well, I mean, eventually down the line, you know, not at first, but as you know, I did that for like maybe like a year and a half or something, and you know, I started in the spring, and by the summer, like when the new training classes were coming in, I could be like, that person's not going to make it, that person's not going to make it.
Yeah.
It's just you know, they'd come in, you could judge by what they're wearing and what they drove in on, or whether they took the bus. You know, like, okay, like they just like don't have the resources to be able to make money and do well at this. You look at you get like the announcements about like the top salesmen. They're all from like really rich neighborhoods and have friends and family friends that are like super loaded and can buy like $3,200 orders, and after you sell $30,000 worth of product, you're making 50% commission. So if you go in there and make a $5,000 sale, you're making $2,500 for that hour. You know, it's insane.
So did that depress you at all before going like this? I mean, you're pretty much in the heart of like the issues of capitalism in America, class division, or was this not on your radar at all? Because you had said earlier, like you're not good at going.
Like it.
Okay, because I was saying like the connection earlier that you had said, what was it that you're not good at it, or you didn't realize that you had to jump through do certain dance moves to get through life or whatever. And this feels like
that was a different sales job though that I talk about. So
yeah, I'm just making the connection here of did things like start, you know what I mean, in this whole vector thing.
I think what I realized is like I can do sales, but I can't tell somebody. Maybe I can't do sales. I don't know, because like I can't convince somebody that they need something that I know they don't need. You know, like if I really care about the product and I think it's going to help them, and I think it's a useful product, and it might you know better their particular circumstances to have it in their lives, then I can talk it up and I can plead a case. But if someone doesn't want to buy a $59 knife because the knife they've had forever is perfectly fine and they're happy with it, then cool. But like the crisis of conscience I had about it is when I worked at BG&H, which was a magazine that tailored to subcontractors in the real estate and construction industry during 2008, when the market had crashed and real estate in particular was not doing well. And, you know, because it was like the catalyst of the whole crash. I couldn't tell a subcontractor that it was worth his time or money to buy a quarter-page ad in a magazine that no one's going to read when he's just concerned about getting food on the table for his family and keeping people on his payroll. Like, there were people at my company that could just like do it, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm like hearing the objections, like, you know, just like it's really bad out here. Like, we can't like spend the money to do this right now. And I couldn't be like, no, you should though. I know that the readership is like non-existent. So I was just like, makes sense, you know. So my sales numbers were not good.
Well, going back to Vector, because I just don't want to mischaracterize this one, I just want to, because basically the picture that you've painted is basically rich people that are connected, benefit, stay afloat. Poor people come in expecting something to help them out, but they're already disadvantaged and they're going to be washed out. And so my just sort of question is, you just see this, it doesn't really affect you at all. It's just sort of a fact of life, or do you have a deeper sort of thought process on this?
You know, at the time, I got to be honest, I really wasn't too worried about the people that couldn't
Yeah,
make it for
good.
those reasons.
Be honest. That's not a judgment. It's
Like
just trying to like make sure that we get the character right. Where
like
we,
I made some really good friends at Vector, and like that summer that I worked there, I had a blast. Like we were making money and partying and whatnot. So like I was having a good time, and like if people couldn't partake in that, yeah, I didn't feel bad for them. You know, I maybe like if they had asked me, if they had like told me, do you think I should do this? And like I could give them an honest assessment. I would have been like, I don't think you should. I think you're wasting your time. But nobody asked.
19 or 20 at the time. You're not like some. Yeah, you're like a 19, 20-year-old.
I was 20. No, I was 21 at the point that I was.
Oh, okay. So you just spent a year or two with odd jobs before Vector came along.
Right. Yeah.
So you got any questions? Because I'm gonna get more into Vector, Yoni.
Well, yeah, like who did you sell to? Because you were there. You said you were there for like a year and a half.
Yeah, I sold to you know, I started with my high school yearbook or phone book, and just like went through the names alphabetically. I come from a really affluent suburb of Chicago. These people have money, just like tons of disposable income, and just called people from high school and like just played that new Trier card. Like, oh, I went to high school with your daughter. I told them I was like home from college for the summer and was trying to make some money, which was bullshit, but whatever. I didn't feel bad about it because they can afford it. You know, a lot of the times I'd call and they'd be like, oh yeah, Cutco, yeah, you know, my son's older brothers all did this, and like I've been hit up by every Cutco rep since 1989. Sure, what do you want? You want to do? You want to come up here and like cut a penny in half? Like, what's the deal? Like they like knew the entire drill. A lot of the parents that I called, and then other ones were like, yeah, okay, actually I could use some more knives. I've got a wedding coming up, or you know, I've got kids that just moved into a new apartment and they're, you know, we're trying to get them set up. So sometimes the sales were super easy. I'd just walk in there and they'd be like, what's that big set? I'm like, oh, you mean the ultimate for $1,600, man? I'm like, yeah, give me one of those. And, like, you know, throw in some gardening tools, and I would walk out of there feeling like I was the best salesman in the world, but like I basically didn't have to do anything. Like, made a bunch of money just by calling them.
Can we go into the neighborhoods thing? Because I wanted to ask you about that. So what's your neighborhood you grew up in?
I grew up in Glencoe.
Okay, so that is a suburb of Chicago, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Chicago, and then what are the suburbs around it?
Suburbs around Chicago?
Yeah, like give me the.
As you go north of Chicago, there's Evanston, and then there's Wilmette, and then there's Kenilworth, which is the richest suburb, I think, in the Midwest, possibly one of the richest, well, definitely one of the richest in the United States. And then there's Winnetka and Glencoe and Highland Park, and you know, it just keeps on going along. It's called the North Shore. It's called the North Shore because it's north of Chicago, and it's called the Shore because it's right on the lake. So it's this really, really expensive property.
And then what's to the south?
Along Lake Michigan. To the south, you know, you're in Chicago, and then as you get further south, you're at the hundreds, and that's where you start to peter in towards Indiana, and it's lower income.
And so basically, you growing up, you stayed exclusively on the North Shore.
I stayed on the North Shore where it was nice and homogenous and felt safe in my little bubble. Yeah, totally.
And so, and then your dad.
But my school, my grade school had 4 black people, so I felt very cultured.
Like my Catholic school, they all sat at the same table.
No, we didn't. Did you make them do that, Eric? Or?
No. I couldn't make anybody do anything. All I got is jokes that nobody understood. That's all I had at my disposal. But what's so your grade school though? But what was your dad's economic bracket though? So because you bring this up in the book, which is that you're not as rich as these other people. So these other people are what? Making like six figures to $1 million? Is that what we're looking at?
Oh, I mean, they have multi-million-dollar homes.
So
I don't know. I don't even know what like half the dads in Glencoe did, to be honest. Like, I'm sure they were all lawyers and like C-suite executives, and
then
a
what
lot
about
of lot of old family money too.
okay? And then what about your dad? Your dad ran a marketing company, right?
My dad started his own business, when he was like 35 or so. He started his own marketing consultancy, and it became successful. And he managed to, he did well enough where he got an office in Evanston and had like 40 people working under him, and he moved his family to the burbs.
Okay.
And,
I guess my question is, sorry to cut you off, but I want to get succinctly here is, were you rich or not rich, or like just kind of paint the picture there? You know what I'm saying? Like,
no,
like
my family had money.
Okay, so you have money, because the thing in the book, and I don't know if you agree, Yoni, but the thing in the book that you set up is that these other kids are rich and you're not, or you're not as rich. So I'm trying to get kind of specifically what that really means. You know what I'm saying?
We didn't know. Yeah, we didn't want for anything, but like I'd go. I didn't understand. I was a kid, but like I'd go to like my friends' houses, and they had these like sprawling mansions and would just blow my mind, like indoor basketball courts and like indoor pools and like their own beachfront property. Like, and then I go back to my home, and it felt very, very modest in comparison. And it was, it was a good home. I didn't ever think we were poor. I didn't feel badly. I'm like, why are we so poor? Whatever.
I don't want Johnny to come over because we don't have an indoor gym and play set and an indoor pool. We just have a above ground pool.
Right. Well, like what? They're gonna come over and watch television on our TV? They've got home theaters.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So all that makes sense. So we'll come back to the neighborhoods because I want to dive back into Vector. So with Vector, so now you were done with the part. So you took this job, and then did you quit your part-time jobs right away, or
yeah.
what was okay? So right away you were just like, I'm gonna make money with this thing, and I'm gonna quit the other jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of confidence there. So you bought into their line, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they give you like this 10-day kind of trial run, and they encourage you to like. Go for this figure. It's like the 10K club. And if you get the 10K club, then you like get taken out for like a fancy dinner by the company. And they pick you up in a limo and whatnot. And I got that. So I was like, oh, I'm the shit.
Uh-huh.
so
That's
I got
great,
like success.
Okay. And so
I started feeling like, okay, all right. So I left Southern. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I'm kick-ass at this job. Maybe this is it. Maybe I'm a salesman, and like this is how I'll like make my mark or what have you. Like I can just like put all my eggs into this basket and develop this skill, and I'll be that guy.
That's great. So you go there, they give you the orientation, and then I'm assuming the salesman thing goes, they give you a fucking book. You buy some sample knives, which is part of the starter kit, right?
Yep.
Buy some sample. They give you buy the samples. You have the knives to show. You have a magazine. You have like the book of knives. Or what you're selling, and then there's no internet at the time, so it's all done by paper, right?
What way? There was internet.
Was there? Well, I mean, I know there was internet, but it wasn't like
2008. It was in 1989.
Okay, so they would you do the online? Would you do the sales online, or would you take the
it was house calls. It was
That's what I'm trying to get at. Like now, you come up with a fucking iPhone, and you just take their credit card down on your phone. What I'm saying is, you didn't have that in 2008.
Oh yeah, no, I would fill out the orders. They were paper orders, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So when you would go on a call, you would have your knives, you'd have the book of what you could possibly buy, and then you would have what it's usually like a receipt book. There's like 3 copies, so that when you write it out, they get a copy, you get a copy, the whole deal.
Yeah, they get the pink slip. They get the carbon copy of the order, and I'd take it back, I'd put it in the system, and they'd get their order shipped to them, and I'd get a fat little commission check.
When you put it in the system, though, did you go to the office and do that? Like they have a terminal, or?
Yeah, I couldn't do it remotely. There was like 2 computers that we'd use.
There's a terminal at the office. Okay, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that I have that sort of established, so when you first
We're
get
spending
there,
a lot of time on Vector. I barely even mention it. Why? Why is this?
What
So
what are
important?
the things that we're kind of concerned with is making people actually like Taylor. Like if the whole book is gonna be about you being torn up about her, we need to see how you guys actually, like see where you were before, all of this. So we just want to get some background on Vector. And also I find the more you're talking about this fucking fascinating between the affluent neighborhood and the selling with the book. Like this is an avenue I did not see coming, but there's a lot of rich stuff here that I think is good.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like literally you getting picked up in a fucking limousine after selling $10,000 worth of knives is hilarious. How do you not see that as fucking gold? Like,
I mean,
that scene
sure, run
alone,
with it.
like, kid gets
Are you
picked up.
when they pick you up in the limo and they take you out? Is it just you by yourself, or is it like are you sitting with some other like the branch man? Like who are you with? Is it other 10K club members?
The district manager, Mike Muriel, and other people that sold over 10K during their initial 10 days as Cutco reps.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't alone.
Okay,
Right.
so yeah. Also, one note, Nick, on the interview thing. Like, so a lot of what we're doing now may not, like, maybe 90% of this doesn't actually end up in the script, but it's just good to get your world. You know what I mean? The more I know about you, the better. But on the Vector thing, so the first week you go to orientation, they just give you the starter kit and you start making phone calls, and then you start selling, and you sold like $10,000 worth of knives in like 10 days, right?
Yeah.
So
Correct.
I'm gonna weave this soon to Taylor, and you'll understand where all this is going. But the sort of phone calls, how did you start that? Did you know what you were doing, or did they give you a script and the first phone call was super awkward, or were you off to the races?
They give you a script.
Okay. Is it really lame?
It's salesy, It's like boilerplate sales shit. It's nothing to write home about.
So you use that the first time, and then all of a sudden it clicks with you, and you develop your own thing, right?
Oh, you use it as a guideline just about every phone call, but you can, depending on your relationship, like some of the people I was calling, I knew forever because I was calling like the mothers of people that I played football with. And then, so, I didn't have to go through a script with them. I just had to be like, oh, hey, Mrs. Lipus, it's Nick Frankel. It's like, oh my God, how are you? It's been so long. Like, I'm great. I'm selling knives now. Like, what? Oh, I know. Is this Cutco? I know Cutco. I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, you want to come over for an appointment, don't you? Like, yes, I do. Like, okay, well, I got a need for some. So yeah, come on by.
The easiest sale you ever made.
That's hilarious.
Super informal at times.
Oh man. So now I want to know. Now let's get back to Taylor. So she's the assistant branch manager. How often do you go into the office? Do you go in a lot? Do you see the people at Cutco a lot? Like, what's the jam there?
Just about every day. Yeah. Once I got started, I was there every day.
Oh, okay. So why do you go into the office? Because you have this stuff, and then you're making your phone calls and make rounds.
Well, because I've got daily appointments. Ideally, I've got an appointment every day of the week. Multiple appointments if I particularly hit the phones hard. And when I'm not at the appointments, I go to the office to like fill out, the order forms or just to like make more phone calls.
Oh, so you would make the phone calls from the office, because this is before, like, I guess you don't want to use your cell phone minutes to.
Yeah, no, I'd use the phone. And other reps were there, and like they're all like young kids, dude. They're like my age. They're like dudes in their 18, 19-year-old, and girls back from college and whatnot. So it was like a fun environment. It was like a place to hang out.
Oh, that's really cool.
My buddy Ed Walker, I made friends. Like we went to high school together, but didn't know each other at all. And then he came back from Michigan for the summer. This was his second summer doing it, and we became really good friends. And we're still really good friends. And like we would just like kick it at the office all day, and then hang out after work was over. Once the summer got started, like it was a totally different game because that's like the hot season for Vector. So it was like 7:30 a.m. meetings every day to like, sales meetings, and then we'd hit the phone together. It was a lot of team camaraderie kind of thing. Like I was very comfortable in it because I played football, so it was kind of like slipping back into that role, like being a part of a team and like having like a lot of structure and things you could count on, like 7:30 a.m. meetings and then phone time, and then we'd all go out and sell, and then we'd get together afterwards and we'd hang out and party and whatnot. It was like awesome.
There's the exact opposite of SI. You literally felt like you had a purpose. You're with people that you liked, and you were making money.
Yep.
Everything was great. Everything was, and you liked everyone there. Was there anyone you didn't like at Vector, like a boss or anything like that?
No, I liked everyone. I had a good time there.
What was the hierarchy like? Like, who was the big boss? Who did you answer to?
I became an assistant manager like really fast. I started in like March or something like that, and then I was an assistant manager by May. So
okay.
I was.
I'm sorry. I gotta go to the bathroom really quick. So just put a pin on that. You two chat for a second. I'll be right back.
Cool.
All right.
You guys for a second.
What's up?
How's it going?
Yeah, just a little tired.
Yeah, everyone's a little hungover. You watching the Super Bowl?
I'm not. No, my birthday was on Friday, and my girlfriend is taking me out to dinner tonight for my birthday. So it's at like the same time as the Super Bowl.
She's not a sports fan.
She is not a sports fan, and I'm not really either. I played sports, but I've never gotten into watching them, really. I think it's kind of boring.
I hear that for sure. I guess maybe if the Bears were in it.
Yeah, and they never are.
No.
They're terrible.
Yeah,
I'm like missing that guy gene where I like care about sports teams and could talk about cars intelligently. Like I don't give a fuck. I fucking watch anime and like would rather talk about like music or something.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of I actually the older I get I used to like really watch a lot as a kid and stuff. Like, man, if it was like the 90s or early 2000s, like I tell you, like every Super Bowl winner, like every basketball MVP, like every every goalie on every hockey team, and then you just like get older. I don't have time to fucking care about like, especially also like you get to the age where like I'm older than like the athletes now, like most of them.
Oh yeah.
Like me and LeBron, we're the same age, so it's like, I guess you just find yourself caring a little less.
I mean, I used to care a lot about basketball when I was a kid, and the Bulls were, still the thing. And, I just felt like the league itself was so much more interesting back then because every single team had like their heroes and their villains. Like you had like your Barkleys, your Muggsy Bogues, your Stocktons, your Karl Malones, and like I just felt like it was just a much more interesting cast of characters. And I don't feel at all invested in anybody that currently plays in the NBA anymore.
No, they're all like babies. They all just want to play together. They all played like in those like youth leagues, and they just want to form these super teams. It's like, you see those guys. It's like Jordan and Magic, and they're like, man, we would never team up. I'd rather lose to you, than win a championship with you.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't have the heart. They don't have the heart like they used to.
No, it's just the league is just like, I don't know, it's become more. I feel like it's more scripted now.
Yeah.
It used to be it was super exciting to watch the playoffs and the championship games back in the day. Now I feel like it's all kind of like a foregone conclusion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys did win like 6 championships, so in terms of foregone conclusions, Jordan kind of had a stranglehold, but it was a little more.
Those were not easy wins, though. I mean, the Utah Jazz series where Jordan went out there and played with a temperature of like 102 degrees and still fucking put up like 25 buckets or something like that. And that was some theater.
Yeah, that's legend status.
Oh man, so I've returned.
Welcome back, Eric.
Yeah. I'll leave that, that little conversation be your secret until I read the recording. I listened to the recording later, so Anything terrible said about me, I hope you remembered it was being
All
recorded.
we talked about was you. It's the only thing we could talk about.
Let's go, so getting back to Vector. So you turned into the assistant manager, you said super quickly?
Yeah, I did.
How long? Like
Yeah.
a week?
The division manager, no, it was like a month or two. The division manager really liked me a lot, so he thought that and like I said before, I felt very comfortable for me because I come from I played sports like all my life, so I felt like he probably saw like some of that like team leadership qualities, and he's like, okay, this guy could probably like get other people to sell because he's like he's got that gene in him.
So where's Taylor in all this? So Taylor was the assistant to the branch manager.
Yeah. And so was I at that point.
What does that title mean? Like, what is the assistant to the branch manager? What are your extra duties doing, man?
Running training. If sales reps have to have, like they want to talk one-on-one, or like if they have issues, it's your job to like talk with them and like try and figure it out. What else? I'm trying to remember. We got like a percentage of the house, so we get like 0.01% like of the overall sales of the office.
That's a lot of money, so it still counts for something.
Yeah.
Well, it's also it takes away from your sales time to start to have to like run a training session. It means you can't go on a house call.
Right.
So they gotta make it worth your while.
They'd make you do it infrequently. Most of the time it was Mike, the division manager, doing the training, and he still does it. He's still at Cutco.
Oh, wow. So with you and Taylor, like, how did that start? What was it like initially? It's briefly touched upon in the book.
Yeah. So I met her before I even started at Cutco. I remember I met her randomly at a house party, and like the only thing I remembered about her was that she had just gotten back from Chile. So when I saw her at the training, we like connected. We're like, weren't you at that party? Oh yeah, you just got back from Chile, right? And so we had that.
So where's she from?
To talk about. She's from Glenview.
Where's Glenview? Is that part of the North Shore?
It is. Well, not like really. Kind of. I mean, it's still a part of that whole.
So is she not super rich, or is she?
It doesn't have the status.
Oh no, her family. No, her family was wealthy actually. Her dad like worked with Steve Jobs. So,
oh wow.
They had money.
Okay. All right. Got it. So she comes from money. She's from Glenview. So you guys have like similar backgrounds. Got it. And so then you met at a house party, and then you flirted with her at the orientation. Is that correct?
Kind of, yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Remember anything in particular? So when I write that scene, I can just lean on that and not do my job.
She complimented me on my tie. I remember. I wore.
You were the only one wearing a tie.
And she liked that. She liked it, I guess. And I think I mentioned like I caught her smiling at me during the meeting, during the orientation, and I got really flustered.
Yep. And so you come back, and I assume it's not like you went right up to her, but you're in the office, and so you would see her around and be small talk and shit like that.
Yeah, and then since when I first got started, okay, so there's peaks and valleys at Cutco. The summer is like crazy. There's always like 50 people at the office or more at any given time. In the spring when I got started, it's like 7 tops.
Okay.
The office gets really full when everybody comes back from school. I'd say like 90% of their business is done over the summer because it relies on the salesmanship of like people coming back from college. So yeah, when we got started, she was taking a break from school. She went to Vanderbilt and she was taking a break from school. So she was working full time at Vector. And so in the spring, it was just like me, her, this other guy, Marlon, who I actually saw yesterday and had a boxing class with because he now is a trainer. so I still stay in touch with people from those days. Yeah, it was like me, her, and Marlon basically were like hanging out every day.
Oh wow! And so when did you start in the summer? I'm sorry, did you start in the summer?
No,
or
I
the
started
spring?
March.
in like end of winter or like early spring.
When you started, it was empty, so it gave you a chance to really bond with her before. Oh,
Exactly.
gotcha. Okay, very very cool. And then, how long were you guys talking before like you started hooking up or whatever? How long is this whole period?
Like 2 months or so.
Oh, interesting. So it wasn't. I for some reason I kind of thought it was quicker, but that sounds about right. So 2 months of you working from like March, so right before the summer hits, right
Yeah,
before the wave
basically.
comes in.
We'd hang out a lot. You know, we'd go to we'd go to her place and we'd play video games. She had Guitar
Oh,
Hero.
okay. So she was a bit of a tomboy, or I don't know if tomboy is the right word, but she could hang with dudes. Was sort of like
Exactly.
her
Yeah.
jam. Yeah. Okay.
Which
Guitar
I
Hero.
was impressed with.
She go all the way on this? You're like into like fucking Star Wars and some nerd shit that you're into? I forgot. You a Lord of the Rings guy? I forgot if that's the type of Fagatron shit you got going on. Lord of the Rings.
Well, yeah. I mean,
This
I
is
like Lord of the Rings.
the new roommate who's taken your room is a lot like you actually, Nick. His name is Ben, and he's a less cool version of you, Nick. I'll give you that. I'll give you. But I like him.
You're still at the same spot?
Yeah, dude. How do you think I'm gonna fund the radio theater? Literally, all my money is going into this, and I live in a closet.
All right.
Yeah, each one. I want you to know, I believe in your story so much, Nick, that I'm gonna invest probably $3 to $4 grand in it. I want you to know that.
I appreciate that.
Don't worry,
Are
I'm
you
doing
like-
it for myself, not so much for you, because I think it's gonna be a fun story. Let me be honest. Let me be honest.
That's
I
fine.
think it's a good story, so I'm like invested in it.
Cool. Have you spoken to John like real quick?
I gotta call
is he
him.
alive?
I talked to him last. I talked to him. I think I told you, and he was like, I told you about how he was like, he cut off his he deleted his coke dealer's number, which is very sad to me because that guy got really good coke. And he did it because he was seeing this girl, and she lived too close to the guy, so he knew he would be doing too much coke, and so he deleted that guy's number. However, he was pretty sure he was dating this girl, but wasn't sure if they were still dating because it was going to be her birthday soon, and he took off to Texas without telling her. Because that's the kind of fucked up shit John does.
Oh, okay.
That was the last update I had on John, and he still was saying he was going to be a stand-up, and he thankfully had not dropped out of Columbia I forgot where he was going, but I was like, don't drop out. Yeah, wherever, because I was like, you're never going to be a stand-up because you don't put the time in, you just talk about it all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's the update on John. That's the update on John.
Yeah. Sorry to get us back on track. I know that sucks. But I had a question about
Go.
Nick, I had a question about Taylor. So you said that she was taking like time off. She's at Vanderbilt. She took time off. She had been working here, and then she took time off so that she can just to get back into it.
I'm trying to remember, dude. It's been like 9 years.
That's okay.
Yeah, she was like maybe like could have been doing her junior year or maybe like her senior year at Vanderbilt, but for whatever reason decided to take time off. And had worked at Vector the summer before, and so when she decided to take time off, they were just like, oh well, yeah, you can work here, you know, like hang out and make money, and you know, we'll make you an assistant manager, all that shit.
How did her parents feel about her like taking time off from school?
Her family life was a mess. I don't think they had a whole lot to say in it. Her dad didn't care. Her dad was a really cool guy. Her mom was a hot mess. She was like a little bit emotionally unstable and perhaps an alcoholic. So there weren't any objections to her taking time off from school.
I have a question, Nick, and hopefully this isn't a little too personal, but given in the book that your mom is an alcoholic, was this like a point between the two of you that she liked you because you sort of were understanding, even if that wasn't coming up?
Yeah,
with
that
her?
could very well be the case.
I don't know. That's just the connection I immediately sort of make when you say that her family life is a mess, and then given the shit that you sort of dealt with and have handled your life, seems like you would be someone that she could feel safe around.
Sorry, there's like some cop cars going by your place.
Yeah, sorry.
I could mute you.
Mute. Don't cut me out.
Oh, I muted him. I did it. You've been unmuted. You've been unmuted.
All right.
Back in. All right. Yeah, we'll circle back to that later, probably in another interview session, I think, because I want to get back to the timeline with Taylor is you get there, she obviously likes her, you like her, you start hanging out, she's actually a good time, you guys play Guitar Hero, you probably see similar movies, right?
Yeah, I think she played piano and I played piano, and I thought that was cool.
You do like duets and things. You go over the piano and do duets and then make out. Is that what happened?
I don't think that happened. No.
Oh, that would have been great. That would have been.
But yeah, we got along really well, and I felt like there was a connection. And
what did you like about her? That's the $1 million question. What was it about her that was special?
Well, let's see.
You literally wrote an entire book about her. And also that goes back to your earlier question, why are we getting so much into Vector? Because there needs to be, and I don't think I'm revealing too much here, Yoni, but I feel like there needs to be, if you want the audience to like you and you want the audience to be in on this journey, we do need to kind of set up.
You gotta understand, I'm at my girlfriend's place right now, and it's really tough for me to gush about another girl.
Yeah.
She's in the next fucking room.
No. I not expect it. I just want to, you get what I'm saying. Like, what was it about this woman 9 years ago? Don't have to gush. I don't care what it is, but what was it? What did you like about her?
Okay, so first of all, she was very pretty. She had a great smile, and then when you got to talking to her, she just had like a very easy way about her that made her easy to talk to. She was cool. Like I said, like she liked video games and had decent taste in music, and she could hang. And she was, she smoked cigarettes, so we'd have cig breaks together, and we'd we just got along really well. And like I just, like, being a young man at the time, like thought like, okay, this is the one. Back when you like think idyllic thoughts, like there is a one for you. I felt like she was that. And yeah.
Well, so before this, you obviously had other girlfriends and things, but this is the first one where you're like, oh, I actually really like this person, and it's not like we're just spending time together because you're here and I'm here.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. Okay. And so then going forward off of that, so you guys 2 months. I got notes in the book, but I'm assuming you went over this in the book. I think you did the first time you kissed, right? That's in the book.
I can't talk about that.
Yeah.
It's fine. Whatever.
We can do that another time.
You got it, big guy. Yeah. Okay. So I think we got a lot here. Where do you want to go from here, Yoni?
Let's see. Taylor.
We'll move away from the Taylor questions. We do have okay, so we got through, let's look at our questions here. We got the timeline of your life. We got that one. We kind of went into the Chicago and the suburbs. Do you want to know anything more about that, Yoni?
Yeah, I guess like your friends the friends that you hung with when you were at Vector, the friends that you hung with when you after SIU, were they the same friends from high school, or did you have to make new friends because you're in town and everyone else is off at school?
The people at Vector that I made friends with were new friends. The
Yeah.
people at SIU were new friends. I still hung out with the people from SIU, particularly the guy that dropped out with me. We still kicked it. And yeah.
Yeah, because you mentioned like in some names, like guys in the book, like Ross and Bob, like the guy that took you to the hospital, the guy that took you to when
the guy who took me to the
bottle.
hospital was a friend from SIU. Bob's a high school friend. Yeah, who else did you ask about?
Yeah, just because there's a bunch. I don't keep track of I couldn't remember everybody's names, but I was just wondering if those friends were high school friends, or new friends, like aside from or new friends, because if there was like there's that shift back to sort of like when you graduate high school and everyone else is in Michigan or Iowa or whatever, and you're in your local.
Yeah,
you have to kind of make new friends.
I kind of became a little bit of a townie for a while.
Yeah, so why don't you get into that a little bit, like the tableau of your sort of social life at Vector, because I feel like it is very sort of interesting, and you have a lot of different spheres crashing into each other. Because like what you're doing with Bob at the convenience store, or I don't know if that was Bob, but what are you doing with that guy at the convenience store in the beginning is very different than probably what you're doing with your Vector friends or etc. So explain how all of this sort of coalesced into your life.
I don't know. I still can't figure that out, honestly. Like on Friday, my sister and my girlfriend were trying to organize a birthday party for me, which I shut down. And the reason I shut it down is because they were like calling all my different friends to come and hang out together, and like these worlds cannot collide. I have such different relationships with different people in my life that if I were to like bring them all into the same room, I'd have like a schizophrenic episode and be hospitalized. So like it still doesn't really coalesce in any kind of way to this day. I'm just like, I could be really weird with some of my friends, like you, Eric, because you're a fucking nerd. And then like other friends, like
I'm a cool nerd.
Like, yeah,
I tell myself that.
On that, my friend. But you know what I mean. Like you just have different relationships with different people, and sometimes they don't always mix really well, and those friends would not get along. And you do things with some friends that you wouldn't do with others because you can.
Well,
your interests are different.
Well, this is what I think is interesting, and also ties into what we want to do with the Europe stuff, which is what makes you an interesting guy. Don't let this go to your head. Is that the ability to talk to different people, right? Like that is a skill that serves you well on the Europe trip. And so kind of breaking that down before you go is helpful and makes a lot of sense. So I guess what I'm sort of gathering, and just correct me if I've totally misread your world, is that you have your friends from high school, right? You have your friends from high school. You have the friends from high school that didn't do a whole lot. I don't know if that's a really mean judgment, but they became sort of townies and are just putzing around, just getting into trouble.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate statement? Like what I'm envisioning, because you've said you're around wealthy sort of people, is a lot of people that I know from that sort of world is they don't end up doing anything with their lives. And sometimes they get their shit together later on in life, but particularly their early 20s, where it's like they don't have to make money. They have money to blow, but not a lot of money. And so they just do really stupid fucking shit and are really immature. So
yeah,
we have
man,
that group.
It was like less than zero. Like I'd go to parties in high school, and it was just like people with too much money and not enough imagination and just excess drugs.
Yeah, so none of these people, because I think we were wondering if these people were like from like not the wealthy towns, like you were hanging out with townies from the not well, but that is not the case. These are all kids from like wealthy families.
Yeah,
everyone's in North
wealthy families.
Yeah.
So you weren't like slumming it with Southsiders.
No.
Okay, so all all wealthy families. Now, my question is, so when it comes to Taylor, is she hanging out with your friends from high school? Because she's from the same world.
Yeah. I mean, so we were hanging out with Vector people, and Vector people are North Shore people.
So everyone overlaps, but you have you have the kids that maybe some people from Vector would look down on, but they all sort of know each other.
Yes.
Okay, that's an interesting deal. But so at this point in your life, the sort of three worlds that you have, and now at 30, I'm sure this is exponentially bigger. But at that time in your life, you have your friends from SIU that happen to be coming back to Chicago over the summer. You have your friends from high school, and then you have your friends from Vector, and all three of those could overlap, but they have distinctly uh, different sort of taste to them because they're at different points in their life. You would be
Right.
at Vector for one reason, and you'd be at
like if I go out to like a Vector party, it's like Animal House. Like people are drinking heavily, playing beer pong, like having a good time, hooking up with one another or whatnot. And then if I hang out with my SIU friends, they're more artsy, so we're like playing music out on the porch, listening to jazz or whatnot. Yeah, smoking weed, exactly. And then if I go like drinking wine, and if I go and like hang out with my high school friends, that's basically the same as hanging out with my Vector friends.
Except with more hardcore drugs and worse decisions.
It's like, cocaine and ecstasy and shrooms and all that.
Yeah. And then occasionally these worlds shall meet. And so my question with Taylor is, did you bring her around to everything, or did she stay exclusively in the Vector lane?
No, I gave her full exposure. She met my friends from SIU. She met my friends from high school, and we obviously had many mutual friends at Vector.
And so she could hang with all of them. Like she was cool with everyone.
I think she probably preferred the Vector people because she was more familiar with them.
Well,
but
it's not that, but I'm assuming that part of the allure is that you could bring her everywhere and it would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
All right. So we got all that. I think we got a pretty good idea of Chicago. We'll probably come back to that. Let's go to the thing that I kind of missed, that it's brought up sparingly, but you were bullied as a kid?
Yes.
Okay, explain that. What was it?
Why? Like, why was I bullied?
Like, what the deal was? Like, who was bullying you? What was it about? How old?
Why?
Like,
what age? What grades?
I'd say like 5th grade through 8th grade. I was bullied, maybe even like 3rd grade through 8th grade, honestly. And like not always physical bullying, but like willful estrangement, like just not being included in the inside jokes, in the hangouts, in the like the slumber parties and all that. Like I was just very much typecast as like some sort of black sheep outsider. I don't know why.
Because you
No, I mean, like we could hang, like my family could hang, but like I don't get it, I still don't understand really why. And I think I was talking earlier about like how I'm kind of missing this like male gene, like where I bond with other guys about like sports and cars, and like it's always kind of felt like that on some level. I've never really been able to make sense of it. And I had this one tormentor in grade school, this guy Tom Wood, who just like, I don't even know why. He just like singled me out and would like fucking pick on me every day.
He just like make fun of you?
Make fun of me. He'd like threaten to kick my ass, and all that kind of jazz.
Okay.
And then I'd get. Okay, so here's an example of like the kind of shit that happened to me. In 7th grade. Someone for whatever reason used the word swastika, and like I come from like my dad's Jewish, I have a Jewish background. I identify with my Jewish culture way more than my Catholic mom's side. All the people in Glencoe are basically Jewish. There was like 30 bar mitzvahs my 7th grade school year. So I didn't know, but I didn't know what the word swastika meant. Like I knew what the Nazi symbol looked like. I didn't know it was called a swastika though. So I asked my friend Sherbin, I said, "What is a swastika?" And he just draws one, just like on the cover of some kid's Spanish book, right? And the kid comes back and he's like, "Frankel drew a swastika on my Spanish book."
That's great.
And for like, and I fucking didn't. and like for the whole year, people called me a Nazi.
Oh,
You cut
grade.
wow.
I was called a fucking Nazi all 7th grade, and people
And you're
like,
Jewish.
and they'd ask me like, "Are you a Nazi?" I'm like, "No, like, I didn't even draw it. It was Sherman." Like, but everyone was just like so quick to be like, "Oh no, Frankel's a Nazi," and then it turned into Frankel's a fudge packing Nazi. So I guess I was a gay Nazi for a while, like an aggressively gay Nazi. And like I put up with that shit all year, and like I couldn't like hang out with people without hearing that bullshit, and just like I did not understand why I got singled out.
And so
but like of course that happened to me. Like, of course that was the way it was gonna fucking go, and it just wasn't fucking fair.
It wasn't. Yeah, fudge packing Nazi.
Like that's brutal. You know how fucking mean kids are, right? Like they were.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't know until just then. To be calling someone of Jewish descent a fudge packing Nazi is a pretty intense. Did you ever talk about it with?
Yeah,
I can see that happening,
dude.
When I grew up, I can see that happening, especially among Jews. You're gonna throw out. Yeah, it's not surprising.
I don't even. Yeah, but like I didn't even draw the fucking swastika.
It all makes sense as to why I brought you on board, Yoni. Oh,
and like people would like make up rumors about me that weren't even true.
Oh, give me some of those. What do you got?
I don't remember them all, but like they'd be like if something went wrong, like if someone did something, like someone drew like a lewd drawing on a bathroom stall, or if someone was like picking on someone else, it was always like I got called into the team.
Oh, okay.
People would just I tried out for the basketball team in 7th grade, and I was better at basketball than anyone else at my school. And I did not make the team because the coach was told by this little shit Andrew Gomez that I'm a troublemaker. So this idiot coach takes the word of a 7th grader that the best player out there is not worth having on the fucking grade school team because I'm a troublemaker. You know? And I got cut because of that.
Oh man. Well, that's good. Like, yeah. So it just was rolling. The shit was rolling down the hill for you.
It just like that always happened to me. Just like fucking unfairness. So yeah, like I got picked on a lot, or felt like I was being prejudiced against for no fucking reason growing up. And then I got into high school and I played football and gained 30 pounds of muscle, and nobody fucked with me anymore. But growing up, I like developed this like inferiority complex because, why would I not? I was fucking made to feel like a weirdo for
two questions on that. The first one is, when does Ryan enter the picture? Let's go there. So what age were you in, Ryan? Yeah, Ryan.
Oh, second grade.
Oh, so this is way before that.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh man. So like Ryan was like your friend that you connected with, right? Like he was the guy that like you finally connected with, and then he disappears.
Well, I mean, I didn't think of it in terms of like, oh, I finally have a friend. Like I was in 2nd grade. I was like, this is my friend Ryan.
Yeah. But you thought about him after, obviously. You thought about him for years to come.
Yeah, I still think about Ryan. We were good friends.
Okay, that's interesting. And then I guess my second thing is so stuff with your mom. I mean, pretty much kids, when they're dealing with emotional shit that they have no idea how to process, it affects them in their interactions with other kids. Do you think that affected you as a kid? Like, I know my parents being deaf, for example. My parents being deaf and my parents not being able to partake in things like made me a very sarcastic child who kids did not like because I made them uncomfortable. And so I was very much on the outs, much like yourself, though no one ever called me a fudge packing Nazi.
Oh, you're lucky then.
Yeah. But like I look back on my childhood and I realized like, oh, my parents being deaf and my not being able to understand like how to deal with all the shit that goes with that made me a somewhat abrasive child to other kids that have absolutely no fucking worries. And I don't know if that's something similar to you, like maybe like or the two are not connected.
I mean, I don't know, like possibly. I mean, I think I mentioned in the book one of my earlier memories of my mom is like her being like drunk on the floor in our like by the front door.
The Night Janitor episode 1.
And my dad pulling us out of the house to go live with our grandparents because my mom was like on a fucking bender. And I think that was like second grade, maybe first grade. I don't know, dude. It's like I'm kind of muddled.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah. Well, all right. So we got a lot sort of in the 3rd, the 5th grade, and you stayed at the same grade school the whole way through, right? So it was all the same kids.
Yeah, I remember asking to leave grade school though because I just like could not get along with everyone. I got picked on so ruthlessly.
Oh, wow. And then in high school, are these the same kids you grew up with?
Yeah.
Did you become friends with them, or was you found your outsiders that you hung out with?
I mean, they just like I wouldn't say I became friends with them, but they did not fuck with me anymore. Like I got big, and I played football and I played it really well. So
were there a couple of kids that made fun of you as a kid and you befriended? Is there any of those in there?
No, I did not become friends with them.
Okay. All right, gotcha.
I'd see them at parties and they like showed me like this like new kind of like deference because I was a good foot taller than all of them and could bench press 255 pounds as a 17-year-old. So like they just like, and they probably remembered I was not nice to him like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Should probably be on his side. He's kind of become really big.
Yeah.
That's probably what happened.
We went into all this. Okay. Let me see. We got into all this. Okay. We'll get into some of this. All right. I guess my last sort of questions, because we're gonna want to do another interview after this once we piece through all this info and start doing some outlining and whatnot. But I guess to wrap up, let's skip ahead to Vector. And so you're at Vector for how long?
About a year and a half.
Okay. And so about 2 months in, you start dating Taylor, and then the relationship goes good for about a year, I think, or how long?
Yes. Yeah.
About a year. So a year and 2 months, and then once it goes sour, is that when you quit, or why did you quit Vector? How does that go?
Oh no, I quit before that because I was tired of Vector, so I went to BG&H, the magazine that sold ad space to subcontractors in construction industry.
So you quit Vector with no hard feelings. You're just sort of like, I've done this for too long.
Yeah, I was just like, they wanted me to be a branch manager, and I was like, I don't want to. Like, and there are like old guys at Vector who are still selling knives, and like they're kind of pathetic, and like I did not want to fucking be that guy. It's like this guy Jamie Zimbroff who was like, the guy's like 38 years old. He's going to like orientation and 7:30 a.m. like training meetings with 18-year-olds. Like it was sad. I didn't want to wind up like him.
Okay, so you quit, and was the sales still good at that point? You're still making the same amount of money?
Well, no, at the point that I quit, it was like the hot season was over, right? It was like spring again, and so like the sales were not going well. The branch was not making money, and I got an opportunity at an agency downtown Chicago. So I was like, okay, well, I'll go do that. That sounds like a fun and interesting.
How did you get that opportunity? You applied, or?
Yeah, I saw an ad in the paper for them, and I went downtown and had the interview, and then they hired me.
Okay, and then you got there, and it just was shit right away, or was it shit going?
I don't know. It was like the same thing all over again. Like I did really well. They they start you off in like the research division, and then you provide leads to the salesman. But I was so good on the phone that they were like, you need to be one of the salesmen, and we'll send you the leads. So they moved me fairly quickly. I'd say within the first month and a half, 2 months or so.
So you were good at the job. And was that salary or commission?
It was commission, and with a base salary.
Okay, and this was right before the recession, or the recession already happened?
So it was like 2008, 2009, 2008, let's say. The recession was coming. Like that bubble hadn't burst quite yet, but it was about to pop. And then it did while I was at that job.
Okay, that's pretty great. So I kind of love, and we've been talking about this, that is like a motif, this sort of like like the recession sort of happens right during the breakup, and there's something really kind of lovely about that you find yourselves on two opposite worlds, literally, before and after this breakup. That there's pre-recession land and post-recession land, like probably the worst time to have a breakup.
Yeah, it was not a good summer.
Pretty great. So BGH you liked initially. You're still dating Taylor, and then the breakup happens and the shit starts to hit the fan, and that's when everything kind of spirals out. How long were you at BGH for?
Maybe like 7 months, something like that.
Got it. All right. And then after you quit that job, you were out of work for how long before the Europe trip?
So it was June or something, and then I left for Europe maybe in like August or something, the late end of July, I think.
Okay. The whole saga before Europe to really capture the story is about 2 years, maybe a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we got a lot here. We're about we're tipping on like an hour and 45, 2 hours. Is there any final questions you got, Yoni, before we wrap this up?
No, I had actually a question, not about there's something in the book about Taylor with the religion. Was she religious?
Yeah. Claimed to be, when it suited her.
Sure. And that was what, Catholic or Protestant?
Catholic.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Okay.
What does that mean?
No, not Catholic. It was Christian, but like church group kind of shit. Like it was always very hazy. She usually claimed to be, but she went to church maybe like twice while we dated. But like I guess when she was a kid, she like went to like church camp, and like when she was in high school, she would like go to like these like young religious group meetings and like hang out with like other kids that were like super into Christianity, and they'd like sing songs and talk about prayer, talk about like Bible verse and stuff. She was out of that stuff by the time I met her, but that was like the kind of thing she did when she was in high school.
Did she bring any of it to the relationship, like in weird ways?
She would talk about how like her faith is important to her, and how she wanted me to be involved. And she told me one time, she wanted to be in heaven with me.
Uh-huh.
And I guess she was worried about my soul.
You're unbaptized.
Jewish,
well, that's the worst thing. Your unbaptized soul.
Like we don't believe in heaven or in hell. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Okay.
Did she ever? So she was like, she knew you were like half Jewish, half Catholic, and she tried to get you to lean into like
half Jewish, half Catholic, 100% heathen.
Right.
Yeah, I think she like wanted me to like go to church with her and like care about that kind of stuff, but I just don't and never have. I think it's a crock of shit.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd like to we'll schedule another interview, Nick, where we can get way more into Taylor and then the Europe stuff. So just have that on your radar. The next time we talk, we will.
We can, nights are better for me during the week if you guys want to do that.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So what we need to do is kind of sift through this and sort of start figuring things out. But the vector stuff was awesome. There's so much like really funny and sort of really cool stuff there that I want to sort of mine, that I think makes the Europe stuff a lot more richer. Because that's sort of the big sort of note in your book is, I actually told Ione this. I was like, Nick is a really good guy, and he does not do a good job of showing that in the book, which I think is important, that people like you, or else they're just not going to really sympathize much for this story.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Yeah,
and the Europe chapters are really boring as I've looked back on them. It's just like dry facts and not a whole lot of story to it.
Yeah, well, there's parts that are really good, and then there are parts that are really boring. And so like we're working on now, like kind of pulling out and making like figuring out a way to tell the story, because there's a lot of good and then there's a lot of junk. And so figuring out a way, so like parts of this interview is to fill in all the stuff you didn't put in, like all that vector stuff. that shit about you pulling out the phone book and calling your old buddies after that, or like families of people that you went to school with, like all that is really, that is fun stuff. And so there's a lot there, I think, that you didn't put in the book that we just have to mine. So very thankful for your time. Hope you enjoy the Super Bowl later. Go Pats. We'll be talking more.
All right, guys.
All right.
Great to meet you.
Yeah, Yoni, it was nice to meet you too.
Yeah, likewise.
Later, Nick.
Talk soon.
Bye, Nick. Happy birthday.
All right. I thought that went really well.
Yeah. It's just us now, right?
Yeah, so fucking much that he does not put in the book that he should have.
Yeah. Well, he was 21 when he wrote it, right?
Yeah. But like all that stuff about Vector, like I just was like, wow, this is way more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Like.
And I wish I had realized that Vector was Cutco because like there's a lot of similarities in his growing up and my growing up. I mean, I remember kids. Yeah, there was tons of kids in my high school that got into the Cutco biz, like got into the Cutco game, and small Jewish schools, so everyone's hitting up the same people in the same neighborhoods. And there's one kid that really stuck with it, like into his like late 20s, I think. Like he was like branch manager and then like running like the North Texas region, and then he moved to like Oklahoma because he was running like the Southwest region. Like he really like was one of those like if you fight hard and you like ride it, like he rode that Colt wave like all the way through. It's just funny to see.
Yeah, and I love it as a tool too to show how wealthy he is, like that whole like neighborhood and that whole motif that runs the whole fucking book. Like the stuff about the homeless people in Europe, like there's just these shadows that he seems to be unaware of that he keeps drawing on of like poor and rich throughout the entire fucking thing. Like how many times in the European narrative does he bring up something about homeless people? Like it comes up at least 4 or 5 times, like homeless people on the train here, homeless people there. You know what I mean? Like literally there's this sort of echo about his wealth and privilege that is just sort of there that he doesn't know what to do with.
Yeah.
And so the Cutco stuff is great. That stuff about like people he knows are going to make it based on how they dress. Like
you have to be middle, like upper middle class to even have a chance to sell some knives.
Yeah, I think there's a lot we can do there in the whole Cutco saga. And the more we talked about it, that 2-year period has its own little arc that's going on there. That's nice.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I didn't go into any of the Taylor stuff. Once he said that his girlfriend was in the other room, I was like, "Fuck! Why didn't you give us that? Why didn't you tell us that earlier? Like we're like pressing for information." And then I'm just like, "Oh, you could have just said that. You didn't. You could have been nonchalant about it. Like, oh, the girlfriend's making breakfast in the other room." And I'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, because then we don't get to ask about. We can't ask about Nicole either,
Yeah.
Like,
did you notice I did not ask about it?
Yeah. So when did the cheating on Taylor start? And is that a thing that you maintained across all your relationships, or?
Oh man, but I think you got a flavor for him, like his voice, having talked to him now, what he sort of sounds like. He's sort of self-aware, but sort of not at the same time.
Yeah, and even he has a lot more awareness. Like coming back to the book, he's free to admit he's like, man, that Europe stuff is really boring. It's like, it is.
No, I think I was doing a good job of like laying the seeds for what's coming without telling him. Just sort of laying some groundwork. If you notice, just being like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. Just laying the groundwork to get him to where we need to go. That eventually 50% of this is not gonna be real. It's gonna be fiction.
Yeah.
But I thought this was a good interview. I think we got a lot of notes. I think there's plenty more to get into. Again, the stuff. I think we definitely the Ryan stuff has to be moved up because I think I saw an immediate parallel of he's getting bullied and then Ryan shows up. Is a narratively strong.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He finally finds a kindred spirit.
Yeah.
And that makes it harder when that kindred spirit gets taken away. I mean, being a fudge packing Nazi should happen first, and then he meets Ryan. You know what I mean? Like establish that he's a fudge packing Nazi.
That's a great opening scene. That's a great opening scene. And then I didn't realize how much of the Jewishness was like inherent in his story. Like it started to come out, and I was just like, wow, this is a side that I did not really understand about
But
you.
once he said that Glencoe is like a Jewish, like basically a Jewish North Shore suburb, like it put everything, it contextualized everything for me. I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Well, I'm great. Like I love that you're here because I'm just not only for that. I brought you on for your voice, but then I was just like, oh shit, I'm glad Yodi's here to kind of help me with because I have no context on the Jewish stuff. I mean,
Oh yeah.
So I really think that's going to be good. Like we like because a lot of the stories are all like the Providence story I'm writing is a lot about the Rhode Island culture. So it kind of I think it's to weave that sort of into the narrative. I think makes it good. Grounds it a lot. Especially because the Catholic thing is interesting too. And I don't know, I don't want to unintentionally do this, but there is a weird vibe now that I think about it that his mother is this sort of like fallen Catholic, a drug abuse, and then you have the dad who's coming from this Jewish, and there's almost like this weird physical manifestation of like him trying, like almost trying to find himself in between these two poles. Because he says that he isn't religious, yet you constantly find him referencing his two, the two sides of himself.
Sure.
So yeah, let's finish up the outlines and then let's reconcile it with the notes. And then I think it's just more and more of just trying to figure out how to organize all of this information.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, let's sit on this. I'll try and finish the first 2 episodes and then you can rewrite it and then we can come back to it later in the week. I will send you the recordings so that you can listen to it. What's up?
Yeah, perfect.
Wait, yeah. So yeah, I think all that is good. I think we actually covered a lot of ground in this interview. We got most of the stuff we wanted.
I think not being able to talk about Taylor, we just were like, fine, we'll talk about other, we'll get background on other shit.
I wonder how open he says he's talking to most of the people that are still involved. I wonder if we could get interviews with some of them. I don't know if that would be pushing it, but I feel like he said he's like talking to people, like he still talks to so many people that were involved in this time period that like
I already linked in Taylor, so we're good.
You linked in her?
No, I don't know her last name.
Oh, okay. I was like we like strangely message her and just like, how do you feel? It would probably not go well. That probably
I don't think it would go well at all.
Yeah, no, it would not. Like we literally have to change the names of everyone. I was just like, there's no way with all the shit that goes on in this fucking book. There's no way that we have to keep
change the names to protect the innocent and the guilty.
Except for what's his name? The guy where's the note about the bullying? Who's the kid that
Tom Wood?
Yeah, Tom Wood is the only name we keep is Tom fucking Wood.
Tom, as soon as he said his name, I had the exact same, like, I don't want to change that kid's name at all.
Yeah, we leave his name in as the guy who calls him
a fudge-packing Nazi. Frankel's a Nazi! Frankel's a fudge-packing Nazi!
That is probably a great scene. That might be our opening scene.
Oh, I don't know if you open with that. I don't think that.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the scene of him as a kid, and then the kid asking like, "What is a swastika?" and then like him drawing on it, and then everybody calling him this like Nazi, and him trying to stop it, and then we like fade to.
It wasn't me. It was Sherman.
Yeah, like
Sherman.
Well, because think about it. Literally, even how he described that was kind of ridiculous, or at least I felt it, where it's like, of course this happened to me. It had to happen this way. Like
right.
He still has this sort of victim complex,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an interesting way to start it because it depends how you feel go over. Like, would it endear the audience to him? And I think it could be a dark comedic way of being like, oh, this poor kid.
I don't know if you bring it in off the bat. I think there's so many other things that we want to like.
Yeah, but it's definitely first episode.
Yeah, I think first episode because it's if funny, we want to establish, it's funny, and we want to establish before that Ryan is sort of the savior, a savior in a way, because he's being bullied. He doesn't have friends. He's isolated. Everybody's calling him a Nazi. He's like, I don't even know what a swastika is. And then Ryan comes, and Ryan is, by all accounts, more make funnable than he is, right? He wears weird clothes. He lives in an apartment, so it's kind of perfect. And
I think we split the difference. He's not 10, but he's not like 5 or 6. I think he's like 8 or 9. I think 8 or 9
you split
years old.
Yeah, you said it in 3rd grade, whatever it is, 3rd or 4th grade, and just call it
because he needs to be old enough to be dealing with his mom, but young enough where the right. So like 8 or 9, I think works.
Yeah, maybe 9 or 10.
Yeah, 9. I think is 10 too old? I feel like 9 is the sweet spot. 9 is like 4th grade. 9 is like 3rd, 4th grade.
I think when I was in 4th grade, I was 9 and I turned 10 I turned 10 in 4th grade.
Me too. I remember the big 1-0. Yeah, I was in 4th grade. Yeah.
That's not a bad year.
9 to 10. Okay. All right. I think this is all good. I think we're in a good spot. We got a lot of info. He seems to be on board, which is good. I think he was very at ease.
Yeah, he was. He's really chill. It's funny because it's like we're asking him about things from so long ago too. So he's like, man, like, okay, let me get back into that. Like we've been reading his memoir for like weeks now, and he probably doesn't think about it anymore, really.
Yeah, we're just like poking around in his brain, but remarkably, he remembers so much detail.
He really does. He's got a great memory.
Yeah, no, it's good. I think later on we should see if he can get somebody else to talk to us, because that would be fascinating. And
that would be great.
I think we could pull it off. Like, I feel like, because there's no stakes for them. Why would they care? It's nothing embarrassing for them. It's just Nick. Yeah. And if Nick is cool with it,
Totally.
I think we would get some good. But I think the stuff with Taylor, we can modify what we already have, because like the work party thing, like I think we'll go back to the outline, but I think what we have now very much works with what he gave us, but we just have to modify it to fit the facts a little bit more.
Yeah. No, it's also good we got a quick picture of her that she's in the same boat as him. I mean, she went to Vanderbilt. It's like the preppiest school you can go to.
Yep. Probably wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah. So that was interesting, because then it helps shape. Okay, so then maybe she's not impressed by his house when she drops him off.
Yeah. I think. Yeah. I don't think it's but she'll say a cutting line. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But we're 2 hours deep, so let's call this. I'm gonna go get food ready for the game tonight.
Oh yeah. Where are you watching at? Are you watching at the house?
Yeah, I'm just watching it with my dad and my mom. Watching it with Big Rob.
Yeah.
Big Rob. Oh my God, I'm still hungover from last night. Fucking, you drink with the honor. Like my friend Brendan Ryan and his dad, just like, 2 fucking lawyers. The dad doesn't practice, but they're like so fucking connected in the Providence scene. The mom's like a councilwoman, and like I go there. And like the dad's buying me drinks, and I'm like 2 drinks in, and I'm like, I'm driving, I shouldn't have another one. He's like, no, I'm driving too. Have another one. And
oh God.
Any other parent, I don't care if you're 30 or whatever, any other parent would not say that. But an Irishman, a true Irishman, would just be like, no, have another drink. And then, they start getting drunk, and then they start talking about like the Providence mayor, like just hilarious, just the inner politics, and just like, yeah, this guy wants your mother to run, and he wants to be city treasurer. And then he turns to me, he's like, you don't tell anyone that. And I'm just like, who the fuck am I going to tell? Who am I going to go to about fucking the inner workings of the Providence scene right now?
Right? Oh my God, I'm going to go straight to the Providence Examiner. I don't even know what your paper is.
The Providence Journal. We have one paper.
Providence Journal.
The Projo. Go to Projo.
I'm calling my contact at the Providence Journal
right
now.
Real crushing story here.
Yeah.
Going to be mayor of Providence.
Yeah,
hold your
memo. I got a real story.
Not even the next election, like in 6 years, because it's only 2 terms. So you cannot. Nobody runs against the first term mayor. You wait till the 2nd term. Okay. So this is like a 6 fucking year plan. Let me go to the project.
Okay.
Fucking Providence, fucking politics, which I hear about from like our other close friend's a teacher, and he's in the union. And so the unions have a huge thing with where people vote and shit like that. So,
oh my gosh.
So someday I have to write a story about Rhode Island politics.
Oh God.
One of these days. One of these days.
One of these days.
I got too many stories on the plate right now, though. I just got to get through these first.
Yeah.
Get through these, and we'll be good. All right, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, dude.
Good work.